Hi there. This is just a brief introductory video for Alternate Reality X, which is my remake or recreation of Alternate Reality, the series of games by Philip Price, which came out in the 1980s for the 8-bit and 16-bit computers at the time. So my idea with this was to make a new version of Alternate Reality that would run on modern systems such as Windows and then later Mac OS X and Linux. So there's a Windows version currently available. It's got quite a lot of features implemented, but there's still quite a few missing. So I'm just going to give you a brief demonstration of where we are with this currently. So create a new character in the city to start with. So your character starts off in the city. So the city was the original scenario that came out first, and the city's almost like a hub for all the other scenarios or the planned scenarios. So originally there was going to be 7 games: the city, the dungeon, the arena, the palace, the wilderness, Revelation, and Destiny, where you would finally be able to complete the overall story. Sadly, only the first 2 scenarios were ever released. That was the city and the dungeon. So I wanted to make a new version of this that would allow people to play it easily on modern systems without having to use emulators and do virtual disk swapping and things like that. So I'll just give you a brief tour of the city. So the city's got lots of different places to visit: bars, taverns, inns, banks, smithies that make weapons. There's no real quest in the city or final goal, because the idea was you would move on to the other scenarios. So one of my objectives with this remake was to allow characters from the city or the dungeon to move backwards and forwards between the different scenarios. So if you find the entrance to the dungeon in this, you'll be able to go down into it or come back up into the city. So I've joined them together. And here I'm using the original Atari 8-bit graphics and Atari 8-bit sounds and music, but one of the things I wanted to do was provide people with some alternative graphics and sound. So there's some initial versions of those in. Lots of secret doors in Alternate Reality, the city and the dungeon. A lot of Alternate Reality is about the encounters you have, so there's lots of different encounters in the game, creatures. Some of them are hostile, some of them can help you on your quest. And the idea of the city, I suppose, was really to develop your character so that it was was built up to be able to deal with the challenges in the later scenarios. Okay, so I'll just leave the city there and give you a brief look at the dungeon and some of the alternate graphics. So I'm going to change those. And I've also changed the audio there so you can hear some of the new music that's been created by Furious. Now, one of the things I did was I made use of the unreleased artwork for the Amiga version of the dungeon, which was never finished. So you'll see some of those pieces of art in the dungeon, and I also used the 16-bit Amiga city graphics as well. So there's an example there. So there's various shops again, and the dungeon added lots of additional features. So there's lots of new monsters. There was a guild system where you could join guilds and you become enemies with other rival guilds. There's lots of unique items that you can come across and discover within the dungeon. And it added more variety to the maps as well, so the maps in the dungeon have lots of different textures and things like that. And as I think I mentioned earlier, there's actually a number of quests to complete in the dungeon, so it's not open-ended in the same way as a city, although you are free to decide in what order you do things. There is actually an ending to the dungeon. There's a final room that you can go to and complete the quest, or complete the overall dungeon quest. And you can also learn more about the background to alternate reality and what's going on there. So here's some new graphics for encounters that have been created by Ted. So there's quite a few different ones he's created, which are great. Still some to be done, but they look really nice, I think. So, and I've added some textures to the walls and things, mainly just 3D textures I've got from the internet. You can run this in a bigger window, so you can get a full screen view of the dungeon with the interface overlaid on it, but that needs a bit more work just now. So a lot of features have been implemented. You can use the inventory, you can drop things. There's some basic spell casting. I haven't got any yet because I haven't joined any guilds. But there's still a fair few features to add. But it's free to play. You can download a copy and give it a try from my website, which is www.crpgdev.com. I'd welcome any suggestions or comments you might have. So thanks for watching. I'm just going to call an end to it there. But I am hoping to do some more videos as the game develops. So thanks for watching. Thanks, bye.